Hello and welcome there. Studying at postgraduate level at university is a brilliant way of continuing that amazing lifestyle that you've already got used to as an undergraduate and continuing with that and learning new, ever more advanced materials. My name is Mike Meredith and I am the recruitment lead for the Department of Computing. And what I'm going to be doing over the next few minutes is I'm going to talk to you about the provision that the computing department have for these MSc courses, from conversion courses through to extending areas that you've already seen beforehand. So why would you consider studying at a postgraduate level? I've already kind of talked briefly about one of those reasons, that passion, that pursuit of knowledge. You've enjoyed your undergraduate years and you have learned lots of new stuff and you want to continue that learning. You want to pursue that area of interest. Now, that might take different forms. That could be, for example, broadening out your skills, maybe looking at different areas, or that could come in specializations. Maybe you've got, for example, a computer science or software engineering degree, and you want to go into a particular networks area, or cybersecurity, or even games. Now, all of those, we have master's courses available for you to specialize. You may have also been finishing off your undergraduate studies, been looking around for career options, and kind of thought, you know what, I've enjoyed doing that bit of the course, but I want to kind of go in that career direction. So a master's course rather, would allow you to again acquire new skills and study towards a career path that you may already have in mind that is an enhancement of what you've currently got. Or you may want to change direction completely. Maybe you've got a degree which is completely unrelated to computing, but you've decided actually that's the way forward for you. And we have one of those routes called MSc Computing, which I'll look at for you later on. You may also decide to enter a profession where a certain level of qualification is required. Now, you can enter in cybersecurity, for example, with undergraduate degrees, but maybe you want an extra special kind of certification, even networking, for example, or cybersecurity. It'll get you those extra special jobs that actually require that. So studying at postgraduate level is an awesome opportunity that will allow you to build upon the stuff that you know from university and then take you further. It's also a great lifestyle, continuing what you've experienced at an undergraduate level. On the left-hand side, you can see a list of all the courses that we offer in the computing department. Quick note about what these FT and PT mean. So the courses with FT underneath their name are full-time routes, so you have a full-time route option on all of these courses. The ones with PT, you have a part-time route, and that varies slightly from course to course. Maybe that is the 1 year broken into two, or maybe across three. I do need to kind of point out to you, though, that the part-time route is taught alongside the full-time students during the normal working week. All you simply have is a reduced timetable. So the part-time route is not evening and weekend classes, it is still during the daytime. You just have fewer off those. You have fewer off them because they are spread over a longer period of time, maybe 2 to 3 years. You will see that there are slightly fewer courses that offer a part-time route. And then you've got the placement. So the placement opportunity across most of the courses except cyber and games allow you to spend up to a year in industry, actually putting into practice the stuff that you have learned during your first season, your first semester, couple of semesters at master's level, and then applying that throughout. So have a quick look at that, maybe pause that and look at the course you're interested in and just double check that the route options that you are interested in following are actually available. So again, PT, part-time, but taught during the day alongside the full-time students, just a reduced timetable. FT, full-time route, standard full-time taught session, and placement includes a placement year. Let's have a look at these courses now. First one, MSc Big Data Analytics. The world is now essentially built upon data. It is the new gold rush. It's the new currency. Companies, industry like to mine data to ensure that not only the products that they are developing are fit for purpose, but also to get competitive edges. Now, you may not realize this, but you are leaking data all the time, or maybe, well, not you personally, but your mobile phone is. Every time you are kind of interacting with something electronic, you are passing on information, you're providing data. You may have actually turned this off on your devices, but many of your smart devices will actually kind of track your movements, and that's how people like Google can actually indicate when shops are busy. So it is very limited, it's all very privately done, but essentially, big data analytics provides a way of understanding how to look at huge volumes of data and doing some kind of modeling and mining on it. It is essentially the new currency. On this course, you will need to do some programming, and that's going to look at things like the R programming language, and you need to understand how to, or rather will teach you how to process, intelligently analyze data, maybe using AI and machine learning techniques to kind of get something meaningful out of that collection of data. As I said, the world is adrift of what with data, and it's about how we analyze that. Everything from supermarkets to companies like Google, just to make sure that the data is being used sensibly and being used for a particular purpose, whether that is to give you, when supermarkets are busy, maybe that's to give you kind of new technologies. It's just a huge growth area because of the amount of data that's now available. Data analytics with banking and finance. Similar kind of thing. Let's look at data analytics, but with a banking and finance thrust and direction to it. Now, as I said, data is all around us. How do we use that data? One example that you could look at in this course is how do you identify fraud? How do you identify fraudulent activities using all this data available through a kind of a machine learned process? And that is actually what the banks will do for you. You haven't got some kind of personal human individual constantly looking at your bank account to make sure it's all safe and secure. You've got large systems keeping an eye on your transactions, and it knows what's usual and unusual for you. And if anything kind of comes up that's unusual, it'll flag it. It's all very kind of individualized and personal to some extent. But how do banks produce these real complex algorithms and data structures and models and processes? It's all big data analytics. And this course, Data Analytics with Banking and Finance, will look at the data analysis side and essentially focus it towards banking industry for all those kind of purposes. So there's a lot of overlap between the previous course I talked about and this one, but this has certainly got a banking and finance feel to it. So if you're interested in that banking and finance area, this is the one for you. If you're more interested in kind of the general data processing and big data, then the one I showed up beforehand is the ideal course. Both kind of teach similar things, just different kind of areas specializing them in. So you have your data flying around the system. How do we protect that data? So data is always moving around electronic systems, networks, and what have you. How do we protect that information? How do we ensure that when we connect two devices together, even if it is something as simple as two Wi-Fi connected devices, how do we make sure that's reliable? How do we make sure that it is secure? The Advanced Computer Networks MSc course looks at exactly that, but it is an advanced look at it. So it's not just about how do we plug a cable in the back of a router and connect it to another router. It's actually about understanding from a fundamental level how routers and switches work so you can set them up in large scale enterprise network systems. So that might be a big building that requires a whole network infrastructure to be placed. How do you do that? How do you make sure that network is configured correctly? This course will show you how to do that. We'll also look at virtualization. Virtualization allows multiple users to access a single piece of hardware, and those instances running are essentially self-isolated. It also allows things like operating systems to be run, simultaneous operating systems to be run on the same physical hardware. So it's about making the most of the hardware you've got through virtualization platforms. And we will look at VMware, vSphere, and Hyper-V for Microsoft. There will also be elements of cybersecurity in this course, because it's not much good just having a computer network system, so we've got the networks all working happily, everything's connected, if they are not secure. So there are elements of cybersecurity inside this advanced computer networks course. As I said, this course is aimed at large-scale enterprise network systems. So maybe you've already done a degree in computer networks. This one will take you above that again and actually look at kind of some of the industry enterprise level technologies for you. The fee for the Cisco certification, network programming, routing, and switching exams are also included as part of the course, or at least their first attempt are anyway. I've already touched upon cybersecurity when I talked about networking, but cybersecurity is slightly wider than just your network. Cybersecurity comes up with things like how to encrypt things locally on a machine, how to understand penetration testing, hacking, and all that kind of aspect of it. How do we make sure that our systems, regardless of whether it's networked, standalone on box, or what it is secure? Cryptography, all of that kind of area. How do we also understand when systems are under attack? So primarily that would be a network system. How do we then understand how these things actually happened? How do we respond to it? We also need to look at how do we dig for data? How do we actually understand network protocols and communication systems such that we can understand kind of how attacks have occurred, also how to make them more secure. The cybersecurity route that we're looking at the moment will cover those aspects. It will make sure that you understand the security, the cybersecurity aspects in a professional setting. So ethical hacking is another example of where this is done. A system is given to you, and you need to make sure that that system is secure. So you'll try and do some ethical hacking on it. What that means is you'll try and hack the system, but with permission. So it's no different to, for example, a cyber criminal trying to hack a system, except for the ethical hacking, you will be trying to do it to kind of harden up those. So that's pen trap testing. So the cybersecurity course will look at essentially that array of technologies, including networking, including cryptography, and it will build upon your knowledge so actually you will become a cybersecurity specialist at the end of that course. So the world's now in a happy place. We have networks, we have security on those networks, and someone somewhere is mining all our data so it knows what to put in our shopping basket automatically when we go to Tesco or Morrison's or whatever next. What are we left with? Entertainment. The MSc Game Software Development course looks at the production of games. Now, this is a programming course. It is not an artwork-based course. So you will be programming computer games up. You'll be understanding how real-time maths work for graphics such as DirectX, Unity, Unreal engines, matrix maths. You'll also look at how hardware can be utilized to maximize its potential. How do you write software such that you are using all the processors available inside your system and it is all running in a nice parallel architecture? The game software development course will take you from your programming knowledge that you already have, and this does require you to have knowledge of C++ prior to the course, and it will build upon that and show you how to essentially become a professional game software developer. Again, to repeat, this is a programming MSc degree route. It is not about the artwork so much. You will look at things like asset management, but you will be focusing primarily on the maths. You'll be focusing on the coding under the bonnet. This course is really typically deployed for those that wish to kind of go and work in the games industry. So if you have a hankering for that, after you've done, for example, a computer science software engineering route, and you've said to yourself, it'd be great to go and work at EA or Sumo, this will give you that kind of nice route towards that career path. Information technology management next. What is this course? This course essentially brings together a mix of IT skills and management skills. It is important that when you become an IT manager, that you understand what IT can give you. Sorry, not IT manager, but essentially a business manager. What can IT do for your business? How can it make your business more streamlined, more adaptable? And part of that will look at things like storing data. Businesses need to store data. We've already touched upon the fact that data is all around us. We need to store customer data securely. We need to maybe store lots of that customer data. We also need to have an understanding of how web systems work, such that when you kind of want a physical web presence, because everything is pretty much online these days, not just kind of bricks and mortar, but a lot of the stuff is done virtually, how that all works. So this degree will essentially improve business through technology. How do we take the businesses we currently work with? How do we merge that with technology successfully and come out the other end, hopefully in a better place? We have our staff able to use the IT infrastructure effectively, which means your customers can be more effectively processed or kind of worked with. It's about putting in IT infrastructure, and that's what that course will look at for you. The final course I'm going to talk about is MSc Computing, and this is our conversion course. It does not require you to have a degree in a IT or a computing background. So maybe you have got a degree in, I'm not going to pick one off the top of my head and kind of offend anybody, but non-computing, and you've gone, actually, I want to work in the IT industry. I want to be a web developer. Or maybe you've been listening to me about big data and you've gone, actually, I want a piece of that. I want to understand and analyze huge data sets and make a difference to the world somehow. The MSc Computing gives you a way into that. It doesn't require any prior knowledge of IT systems, but it will kind of give you that. And the great thing about this computing route is there's two internal tracks to it. There's one that allows you to focus on one, web development. So maybe you're interested in developing web apps or web presence. The other is data analytics. So that's stuff we've been talking about beforehand. Maybe you want to understand how data can be used to help, I don't know, for example, the farming industry. So this degree will allow you to start from any background and pick up those skills. So just again to repeat, this MSc Computing is a conversion course. If you already have a good solid programming and computing background, you probably want to go and look at the other courses I've talked about, whereas this one is purely targeted at those with very little to no IT background, and that's our starting point. So it allows you to kind of pick up those skills nice and early, and we'll step you through that process. Let's talk a little bit about course structure now. The detail I'm about to give you is typical across all of the courses I have just been talking about. There are slight variations, but this is essentially how it works. The full-time route, the course is structured across 3 semesters, and they run consecutively. Those of you that have obviously done an undergraduate degree, which is all of you, you will kind of say, third semester, what's that? Is that going to get taught in September? Unfortunately not. That third semester typically is over the summer, so we're still dealing with one calendar year. Semester 1 and semester 2 align with what you're used to, September through to Christmas, then essentially January through till May, and then September 3 gets started after that and goes until the end of August, beginning of September. In semester 1, you will have 4 modules. The topics that you look at will be specific to the course, and then you'll have kind of some study skills component. Each one of those is typically worth 15 credits, and that kind of covers your background. That gives you your basic starting point to allow you to kind of do the advanced stuff that we'll move into in semester 2. And the semester 2 is about the project itself. So you've got quite a large project module, and that is a group project. It is equivalent to 3 modules, as you can see, 45 credits versus 15. And it's a way for you to apply your learning to the complex and domain-specific problems. And you'll get to work in a realistic way and produce meaningful artifacts. That's also coupled with the industrial experience kind of topic that you'll also cover in semester 2. So again, 60 credits in semester 2 as you had in semester 1. And the final semester is your dissertation module. It's your personal project that you work on, take from cradle to grave, and develop something individually that relates to the degree that you are looking at. Again, just to repeat, this is the typical structure. You will find that 1 or 2 courses maybe will combine topic 1 and 2 into a slightly larger module, but that is essentially the flow. You've got 60 credits in semester 1, 60 credits in semester 2, and another 60 credits in semester 3. Going back to that dissertation I've just talked about, it is a bit of work that you take from cradle to grave and begins at May, which is the beginning of the 3rd semester, and you'll be supported with essentially a supervisor. Each dissertation project gets their own academic supervisor, and that supervisor there is to help them and guide them through the processes of doing this dissertation project. Now, given that all of you will have done an undergraduate degree, or most of you will have done an undergraduate degree, you will already be familiar with the dissertation project, and you will already be familiar with essentially that supervisor support. And it is kind of very similar to that again. The main difference between a dissertation at undergraduate and postgraduate is the more depth kind of research that you'll have to do. It will be expected that you do a much deeper understanding and deeper dive into your project. It is essentially a bit of a research thing, and then obviously produce something at the end of that. And your academic advisor, your individual supervisor, will be able to help guide you through that. Now, many of the dissertation projects are of such brilliant quality that they do get submitted to a conference. And that's a great accolade to have, especially if you then see this as the stepping stone onto, for example, a PhD in further education, or research, I should say. Let's talk about the placement opportunities. Now, remember I had that slide up at the very beginning that talked about some courses have part-time, some courses have full-time, all courses have full-time, and some courses have the placement option. This is how the placement kind of fits into that. So games and cyber courses do not currently have a placement option. All the others do. Let's have a talk about how the placement opportunity works then. It is essentially an optional place in industry, and it is something that you will have to go out and apply for and essentially interview for it and get accepted. The placement opportunities are not guaranteed. You will have to do some work to make sure you get that placement if you are coming on a placement route. If you are registered on the placement route and you are unable to find a placement, you can just keep going through and do your dissertation module, and then you'll be done in essentially a year. The placement itself will last between 4 and 12 months. As I said, just to read off the side again, it is not guaranteed. You must and will need to apply for them. You'll need to go through selection events and you'll need to shine. But we will give you lots and lots of preparation. And in semester 1, we will introduce you to the placements team and the career service and the employability workshops. We'll help you with CVs, we'll help you with covering letters. There's lots of stuff there to help you get that, so that when you come to semester 2, you will then start to apply for these placement opportunities, maybe even at the end of semester 1, to be fair. Now, at this university, we are one of the largest placement providers in the UK, and it's something that we pride ourselves on, not only in the university, but specifically in the department. We have a great reputation for placing high quality students, both at undergraduate and postgraduate level. And if you are new to the field and you've not done an industry placement beforehand, maybe your degree didn't support that, it is a great opportunity to get work experience on your CV and do a year months to 4 to 12 months in industry. In terms of the timing, so I've talked a little bit about semester one, where we will help you with that process, and you'll start applying at the end of semester one and semester two. But then the placement is done, or it will start in line with the beginning of semester three. So it will start round about summertime for you. Once you've done that, you will come back, and then in the second calendar year, you will then focus on your dissertation module. That's the plan for the placements. In terms of course fees, you can see the course fees down the left-hand side, slight difference between home and EU and international students. If you have studied with us beforehand and you are an alumni or a graduate, you will be eligible for a discount. And in terms of loans and finances, the UK through Student Finance England offers student loans via postgraduate study of just over 10 grand. You can find that information, find out a little bit more about that on the Student Finance England website. But those are the course fees for next year. The course fees are the same for next year, irrespective of whether you choose a placement or non-placement route. If you got on placement, you'd actually get paid by the employer. And similarly, they are the same for part-time versus full-time. I hope this has been useful. If you need to find out any more information about any of the stuff I've talked about, one of the best places to start is to go to the online prospectus for the course you're interested in, and you can kind of see a whole load of information that kind of talks about the fees in a bit more detail, talks about the course structures, talks about how to apply, and so on and so forth. You're also very free to ping me off an email. I can direct you to the appropriate place as well, and that was on the first slide. So thank you very much for listening, and again, I hope that was useful, and I look forward to seeing many of you next academic year.